Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This video is for Algebra 1 Goal 3, working our way through the chapter to see how much of it we can get through and how many topics we can cover. Right now, the next group of topics that I'm going to be covering deal with graphing, which is one of the easiest parts of the chapter. You want to get used to, however, a couple of things. First thing is you want to get used to a particular format called y equals mx plus b. Oops, I put that in the wrong spot. Hang on. There we go. Y equals mx plus b. This is called slope intercept form. Okay, and what we want to get you used to the fact that we're going to be doing certain things first and then certain things second. So the first thing we're going to be doing is knowing what these letters each means. This is the intercept, your y-intercept of your slope intercept form, intercept. And we always do that particular number first. The m is something called slope, which is obviously the slope part of slope intercept form. And what that does is it tells us rise over run. So that tells us our up and our down, and then for the purposes of beginner's run, you're always going to go to the right. We can do the other direction, but for now, for beginners, I wanted to get you guys comfortable with it first. So scrolling down, we have our first little collection of lines for us to graph. So first things first, like we said up here, let me take this and actually move it down a little bit. We have lasso, take this, and we're going to drop it down just a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. Did I give myself enough space? I wrote too big. Oh well. Scroll, computer. So if this is what we're going to be looking for, what we want to do now is figure out, okay, if my y-intercept is my starting point, what is my y-intercept here? -2. Well, what does that actually mean? Like, what, Ms. Dubois? Just what? -2, because it is the y-intercept, what that means is we're looking at the y-axis. It's crossing the y-axis, in this case, at -2. So, go down 1, 2. So there is my -1, -2, -3, etc. That -2, that's where your y-axis is. That's where your y-intercept crosses the y-axis. That's what it's doing, okay? So if we're looking at this one over here, our y-intercept is +1, so it crosses at +1. Over here, our y-intercept is at -8, so it crosses at -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and already my work is getting a little bit messy, so let's clear this off and look again in a little bit more detail. So, if your B, oops, brush tool, if B is your y-intercept, in other words, where it crosses the y-axis, now we want to talk about M, which is slope. And the big thing about slope is that it's rise over run. So let's look at our first slope here. -3. If I write that as a fraction, that's -3 over what? Over 1. Actually, no. You know what? That one's confusing. Let me do the bottom ones first. So if we look over here, our slope is 2/5. Okay? So if I have a slope of 2/5, and that's 2/5, and that's my rise, and that's my run. What does this mean? Well, if you look over here at the map, at the coordinates, going in the positive direction is to go right. Going in the positive direction is to go up. So since this is +2, I'm going up 2, and then my run is I'm going over 5. Over here, my slope is negative. So it's -3 over 5. And if this is my rise, and this is my run, what that means is I'm going down 3 over 5. This one I have a negative slope again because it's -3 over 4. This is my rise, This is my run. So what does that mean? I'm going down 3 and over 4. Notice that for now, I'm always going to the right, especially for beginners. You really want to focus on that to start so that way you don't get lost as you start going through this. So now that we have our two pieces, rise and run, this rise is going to take care of our up and our down, and for now, temporarily, our run is always going to the right. That's all of the introductory information. So now let's see if we can put these both together. And since this has all the information I need, I'm going to do both of them. So I'm going to start with my y-intercept, which is +2, which means I go up 1, 2. There's my first point. I didn't even need to think about it. My slope is 2 over 5. So like we just said, we're going to go up 2 and then over 5. The question is from where? Well, we just made a point. This is our starting point. If this is our start, then this also is our start. So from this point, I'm going to go up 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I really want to be ambitious, I can do it again. Up 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there then is my line. Nope, didn't do that right. There we go. That's a little bit better. And there's your straight line. And the good news is in the software, they do this for you. All right, let's do another one. We have our starting point here is -2, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, make a pot there. Next, my slope is -3/5, so I'm going to go down 3 over 5. So down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. There's my line. And you start to realize that this actually isn't that bad. If you get really good, when you start getting into chapter 4 and you're graphing these lines over and over and over again, you don't even need to write anything down. I'm writing things down to make notes to myself because I'm assuming you guys are new to this. But after a while, this comes almost instinctual. So what's my starting point here? +1. I did not give myself enough space for this. There we go. There is my +1. All right, and then my slope is 3/4, so I'm going to go down 3 over 4, down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my line. And now, if we're ready, if you can handle advanced, we can go backwards. So we can go, instead of going down 3, we can go up 3 and then backwards 4. Let's see how that looks. Up 1, 2, 3, backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3, 4. Backwards 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. And there is my line. That's what you're doing when you're doing this kind of graphing. All right, so let's clear this out so we have space for delete. Delete. There we go. So now we have 3 new lines that we want to make. Let's take a peek. So we start at -2, so down 1, 2. Now this is a little bit tricky because I don't see a run. But here's the whole point, and I gave it away earlier. Your run, it's a whole number. Whole numbers are always over what? 1. So what does that mean? I'm going down 3 over 1. So down 1, 2, 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. And again, if you want to be fancy, up 3 backwards 1, up 3 backwards 1, up 3 backwards 1. You don't have to make 406 dots. You can technically, if you're lazy, get away with only 3. But I want to get you comfortable with how we're getting these dots. So next one, we have a y-intercept at 1. So that's going to be our starting point. And then it is down 4 over what? Over 1. So down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me erase this one because I need to have the space. So down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And again, technically, that's all I need, but let's do overkill. There is no kill like overkill. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then backwards, up 1, 2, 3, 4, backwards 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, backwards 1. And there's my line. So far, so good. Next one, what is our y-intercept? -8. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my y-intercept. And then what is my slope? I'm going up 3 over 1. So up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And again, I'm just OCDing here really badly. Then there's my line. So that's what we're doing when we're actually making graphs. That is 2 topics now taken care of. Well, what else with graphs is there? You have to be careful because you know inevitably on the DSA they're going to give you word problems. And this one in particular is a DSA question. So let's get used to what keywords we need to know when we're trying to do slope. That's the advanced one, not the basic one. Not that much, Mr. Blanc. Give me a second, I'm going to take a drink of water. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can read this a little bit more carefully and not be overwhelmed by how much is actually here. Up a little bit more, get the title. There we go. Okay, so when we're looking at this, they do give you a little bit of information, but what they're really trying to get you more comfortable with right now is understanding how the axes, how they're labeling them, is going to affect what your graph is doing. So there are some keywords to keep in mind, and then there is always, you know, what the actual wording is. So for example, if we're looking at this one, drives from her home to another state. So you're starting from home and then you're going somewhere. So if the distance, you have to ask yourself, is it going up, going down, or staying the same? And they try to trick you because they always give you a vertical line, and that is not a function. We talked about that in the vertical line test, so you know automatically, nope, that's not it. I'm just going to cross it off. So the question is it always going up, going down, or staying the same? Now the next question is, what does going up actually mean? Like, how does that logic? What does going down mean? And the thing that you need to ask yourself is, how do you read words? You read it. That sounds trite. Let me try that again. You read a graph the same way you read words. What that means is you read from left to right. So if I'm looking at that graph and I'm looking from left to right, it is going up. If I'm looking at that graph and I'm going from left to right, that is going down. That's the thing you want to keep in mind. And I'm going to leave that written for the remainder of this so that you can, and I'll drag it along with me so that you understand. You read a graph going from left to right, the same way you read words. So when you're going from left to right, it's going up. When you're going from left to right, it's going down. So if you are going from home to another state, you're leaving your house and you're putting distance between you and the house as you go to the other state, which means your distance is increasing, it's going up. Oh, okay. Here's another thing. Flies at a constant speed. Oops. Constant is another key word that you want to keep in mind. Constant, for the purposes of this goal, tends to mean flat. And this is the only flat line that we have. That's how we're going through this. Isn't another one? Nope. So off to the next one. Now if we go over here, we already know the vertical lines are garbage. We don't want them because they're trying to trick us and we're not going to let them do that. Let's take our little wandering help desk and bring it over. No, computer. I want to be up here. And now move. Just the selection, you fizz widgets. Okay, we'll leave it there. Deselect. All right, so let's see here. You read a graph from left to right. We know what's going up. We know what's going down. And am I in the right layer? I am. Okay, at the end of the race, the runner slows down. And what are we measuring? Speed. If speed is, so there's our key things. So notice I'm looking at 2 things. I'm looking at my key phrase slowing down, and then I'm looking at my axis to see how it's labeled. Speed is slowing down, down. This is what I'm looking for, okay? Next one, Yolanda goes from her house to the store. Distance from the house. So if I'm going, because here's the thing. If I'm going from house to store versus store to house. If I'm going from the house to the store, like it says here, then it's going up. If I'm going from store to the house, then it's going down. And that is especially bold, underline, italics, the next topic's biggest trick that they try to play on you. And we'll get to that in a second. So distance from the house, that means we're going to be going up because you're leaving the house and putting distance between you. So it's going to be that one. All right. Now for the trick topic, the one where they want to try to play you. So many kids across so many years, and even back in the pencil paper days, when you were looking at this kind of topic, story and a narrative topic, everyone goes nuts because they always say, Miss, I get one right, one wrong, one right, one wrong, one right, one wrong. So quick reminder to ourselves, this is going up, this is going down. It's our little cheat sheet from up above. And now we're going to look at this in pieces. And this is where your axis becomes the most important thing when you're going through this. So leaves the nest to go hunting. It flies several miles away from the nest. Distance from the nest. From the nest. So far we're good. So we're going to be going up. So let's see here. That's the only one that we can cross out because that's going up, and then that's going up. Then it stops to eat. Well, if you've actually fundamentally stopped to eat, what does that mean? Are you moving at all? No. Your distance is staying the same. Your distance is staying the same. Your distance is staying the same. Okay, so far so good. After eating, it continues flying away from the nest for several more miles. So this one are the same. The distance is going down. If you're looking at the distance from the nest and it's going down, that means you're going home. Is that what it's doing up here? No, it's continuing to fly away. So therefore it's this one. The daily amount of calories that a rat eats, increases steadily from birth. Okay, so we want things that start with increasing. That's our key phrase. So that's not it. That might be it. That's flat, and then that's flat. And in this case, we got lucky. We were able to figure it out by process of elimination. All right, so far so good. Let's look at another pair. No, not that far. Bad computer. Throughout the last month, family has a pool full. The pool was full of water. Ms. Dubois can read. 3 weeks ago, the pool began to leak, so it started by going down. So that leads me to think it's this one, but it did talk about the fact that it was full of water. In other words, meaning that there might have been water to start. So I like this one, but let's double check. Lost water at a constant rate. So here's where constant starts to come back. When it says constant rate, what it means is that you're not going, it means you're going in a straight line. So that constant, that means good. So up here, up in the first topic, constant meant flat. Here, constant can mean a couple of things, so be very careful with the wording. Next, if there was a big rain, the pool was full to almost overflowing. So again, we're filling up, but not to overflowing. This is not the one, this is not the answer you're looking for, because it flattens out. If you want to be full to overflowing, which one has that? Let's see here. Which one is going down, first of all? So that one's not it because it never once goes down. That one is not it because it never once goes down, so it has to be this one. So for the last month, it was full of water. It slowly started to leak, and then we rained to the point of overflow. Yep, that makes sense. These ones are tricky also because there's a lot of reading comprehension here. This is one where you can't pick out the key words necessarily. You have to actually do the reading. And I know for my kids who have admitted to me, Miss, I'm not a good reader, this can be a point of contention to you. So always take your time, go through it slowly. You can even see Ms. Dubois, she's going through this. I'm figuring out, okay, which ones can I eliminate? I have one that I like, but let's see if I'm right. There's a lot of back and forth that's going on when I'm doing this. A bird of prey leaves the nest to go hunting again. Flies to stop, continues to fly away, looking for more. Is this literally the exact same thing as the other one? Stopping to eat, several more miles, looking for more food. It's exactly the same as the other one. What are the odds of that? Well, let's compare it. So let's see here. I have it all off screen. So flies away for several miles. So it's going up. So not that one and not that one. Then stopping to eat, so we have a flat, that's flat, that's flat, so these are both good. And then it continues to fly away. That one is going home, so it's not that one. This is the one where we are flying away. All right, so that is all of the topics we have for today. In the next video, I will finish up this particular family for graphing, and then we'll move on from there. Just as an FYI, in the next video, this one and I believe it is this one are DSA questions. So as an added bonus, you now are starting to get ready for some of the DSA questions that you guys are going to be learning. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe.